Hola a todos, espero que estéis bien y con salud. Desafortunadamente no tenemos la oportunidad de conocernos de cerca, pero espero que el próximo año nos encontremos todos en España. Pues mi nombre es María Bárbara Diavati, soy griega y soy candidata de doctorado en el primer año en la Universidad de Alicante. Pues mi español no es tan avanzado y por eso continuaré en inglés. So, as I said, my name is Maria Barbari Diavati, and I am in the first year of my PhD at the University of Alicante. So, I'm 27 years old, and I come from Greece, from a big island between Greece and Italy, Corfu. My first degree was in primary education from the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, where I graduated from in 2016. Then I continued my studies doing my master degree at the University of Edinburgh in the sector of psycholinguistics, and I graduated 1 year later in 2017. I have a quite small working experience since this year is my second year working as a supply primary school teacher in reception classes, which means that I have students coming from many different parts of the world, but currently living in Greece and attending the Greek school. Perhaps that's the reason why I'm really interested in intercultural education, bilingualism, and teaching immigrant students. So I'm now going to present to you my research proposal, which at least for now has the title Learning Difficulties of Bilingual Students in the Modern Multicultural School. The program of doctorate is Doctorado en Transferencias Interculturales e Históricas en la Europa Medieval. The line of investigation is Aplicaciones Educativas de la Historia de la Cultura Europea, and the university that actually hosts my idea, my proposal, is the University of Alicante in Spain. So the research problem, which actually is the principal idea of my proposal, is the relationship and the interaction among learning difficulties, bilingualism, and intercultural education. As you can see in the figure, learning difficulties and special education have already attracted a big scientific interest. In the meanwhile, migratory flows have resulted in mixed classes, bilingual immigrants, and refugee students, something that has led to the need of applying an education policy that includes all these students, the well known currently as intercultural education. So we have learning difficulties, bilingualism, and intercultural education. But what happens when they coexist? Unfortunately, we have limited available scientific findings. So, as it becomes understood, my research aims to the co-examination and the correlation of learning difficulties, bilingualism, and intercultural education. References over previous related studies will be made, and actually the Greek teachers of primary education attitudes towards the inclusion of bilingual students with learning difficulties in the general school are going to be investigated. Now, there are four research areas that I will try to approach. These are learning difficulties, bilingualism, intercultural education, and bilingual students with learning difficulties. Of course, inclusive education is certainly the big umbrella that embraces and includes all these areas of research, and without a doubt is also the main and the principal requirement. So, based on the research areas, the literature review is concentrated on the diversity in education, whose two of the most significant aspects are learning difficulties and interculturality. In terms of the learning difficulties, and according to the Learning Disabilities Association of America, genetic and/or neurobiological factors modify the function of the brain, which affects the cognitive process, and learning disabilities appear, which most of the times are related to reading, writing, math, as well as difficulties through social relationships. Additionally, and according to the European Agency for Special Needs and Inclusive Education, European countries are classified in three categories respecting the educational policy that they apply. So first we have the one-track approach, which is applied in Spain, Greece, Italy, among other countries as well, and it supports the total inclusion of students with learning difficulties in the general school. Secondly, we have the multi-track approach, which is applied in France, Ireland, Luxembourg, and other countries, and it follows a combination of systems, both of general and special education. And finally, we have the two-track approach, which is applied especially in Switzerland and Belgium, and it offers two totally separated educational systems. Then, bilingualism and transfer of knowledge are actually the interface between learning difficulties and intercultural education. So, two are the main questions that dominate in the scientific community. Firstly, do bilingual children use two separated phonological systems, or they keep a single system to support both languages? And secondly, do bilingual children follow the same developmental stages as monolingual children in order to acquire phonology? Research so far has shown many controversial findings. But what happens in the case of bilingual students with learning difficulties? Scientific research has underlined a slow progress in second language learning and a slow rate of learning. Also has been proved in many cases a low competence of the mother tongue in respect of vocabulary, sentence production, cohesion, and coherence. Also, a low performance in spelling and difficulties in comprehension have been detected. And lastly, slow reading and inability in understanding words already taught are also sign of learning difficulties in bilingual students. Now, in terms of the intercultural education, it is known that there are five accepted models and approaches. So we have the assimilative model, the integration model, the multicultural model, the anti-racist model, and the intercultural model. All of them present differences and similarities, and they make big efforts in eliminating discriminations. However, still education is characterized as monocultural, and inequality plays a crucial role. So, as we understand, inclusion in education is the only the only way to create a fair social system, since in that way, all students in the school are placed in age-appropriate general education classes, and they have the chance to receive high-quality instruction, interventions, and supports that enable them to meet success in the curriculum, as well as in their social life, of course. Now, that was the theoretical part so far. As for the practical part, the methodology will be based on a mixed, both quantitative and qualitative survey, comprising a closed-ended questionnaire and a small interview with the participants. The questions will be simple and brief so that the participants are not confused. And also the encoding and the data analysis will be simpler in that way. Our research participants will be 100 Greek teachers of primary education in Greek-speaking public schools of Eastern Athens, where foreign populations are more intense. As for our predictions, we expect that our findings will show participants' support over inclusion of all students. And additionally, we predict that most of the teachers will show willingness in getting training regarding bilingualism, special education, and intercultural education. So that was it. My research schedule now. I'm planning of completing the bibliographic review and the questionnaire by the end of 2021. I will conduct my research from January 2022 to July 2022. I will try to record my results between August and December 2022, and I hope I will have completed my research by June 2023. Meanwhile, of course, other actions and publications will also take place. Here are my references, as you can see. That was it. Thank you very much for your time. I hope we meet next July. Muchas gracias por su tiempo y su paciencia. Espero que nos encontremos todos el julio próximo.